Welcome in, everyone, to the Fairgrounds Racing Podcast, Louisiana Champions Day edition. I'm a lawbred. Mikey D is a lawbred, and all horse racing this Saturday at Fairgrounds will be Louisiana breds. The best of the best. I'm your host, Chad Schecksnyder here, and before we get into all things Champions Day, I want to remind everyone, if you are listening to this pod, please give us a review and subscribe on whatever podcast platform you are listening from, Apple, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor, any of the good ones out there, as we bring in morning line maker and Fairgrounds clocker Mikey D, who was here for the first Louisiana Champions Day back in 91, I'm thinking, something like that.
You're right. And then I tell you what, those were some fun times because Brian Krantz really wanted to promote Champions Day because he had a lot of Louisiana breds that he bred himself also. And he'd bring in Dave Johnson. It was one of the greatest race callers in the history of the sport. And Dave and Ed Pappas would come in, put together a television show that would show locally on television. And I mean, it was a great time, and everybody got to do a little something in the show. And then Dave, and one thing about him, like I said, he goes first class whenever he's involved in something. And sure enough, one year they won the Eclipse Award. The show was so good.
Yep.
But the best thing about the whole show was he took the whole crew out to the steak night for a steak dinner after it was over.
That's right. So what do you recall, I guess, from those early days, and how has the Louisiana bred program transformed into what it is now?
Well, actually, the breedings, you're starting to get to some more well-known, higher-class stallions than we had before. And so I think and you're starting to see Louisiana breds participate out of state and win graded stakes around the country. So the program's solid, I think, and doing very well. But over the years, we had some awful good Louisiana breds come through the road.
We definitely have. And we got to touch on all the stakes races coming up this Saturday at the Fairgrounds. Post time is at 1:15 Central. We have 9 races on the card. Like I said, all Louisiana breds. You want to take a shot at the first trivia question of the pod. Who is the first winner of the Champions Day Classic?
First winner of the Champions Day Classic. You got me there.
1991. I'll give you a hint. It was owned and bred by John Franks, if that helps you at all.
But that's
he had a bunch of horses.
I know Scott Scoundrel and all of them won those Champions Day races, but I don't remember that one.
1991 first winner of the Champions Day Classic, Blissful Union, trained by
Tom Amos
and ridden by
Robbie Alvarado.
Pat Day.
Pat Day, wow. Blissful Union. I remember that horse. That was a nice little horse.
Tom Amos and Pat Day had the first win of the Champions Day.
Tom Amos got a lot of firsts at the Fairgrounds. He's got the first winner after the fire. He got a lot of firsts.
Will he have his first Louisiana Derby winner, though, coming up this year?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I know that's a first that Tom would definitely love to have. And, maybe it's Curly Jack. Curly Jack's in the barn, and could certainly probably point to that race in the spring. Let's get into it a little bit here. I know talking about some Champions Day memories. I like obviously Hallowed Dreams, one of my favorite fillies, and Star Guitar, the way he just rolled through Champions Day with a bunch of his accolades. He was fantastic. Anybody stand out to you kind of over the years that you really liked?
I mean, like you said, Hallowed Dreams, Happy Ticket was a great filly that won graded stake in New York. Hope Bliss was a filly that won the Red Camellia 3 years in a row. She was a hard-knocking old mare that always showed up. Dixie Polka Race and Scott Scandal are two of my favorites because they were longevity. They ran every year and they always performed well. And Star Guitar, you can't leave him out. He was one of the best. And then it's funny, Zarb's Magic. You didn't realize how good Zarb's Magic was that year. Zarb's Magic won the Crescent City Derby. Then he won the Risen Star Stakes, finished second in the Louisiana Derby, and then the horse that beat him in the Louisiana Derby was Grindstone. Right. I mean, in the Kentucky Derby, who ended up winning the Kentucky Derby. So it was no disgrace running second in the Louisiana Derby for that Louisiana bred.
So, and I remember, was it Mike Maker had the horse, the Louisiana bred that won the Louisiana Derby, was the only one? Was that Vickers in Trouble maybe, or?
Yeah, I think that.
I'm trying to think. There was a Louisiana bred recently. Rosie rode him, I believe.
Exactly, yeah. I remember that.
Louisiana bred recently, definitely within the last 10 years, I agree. I think the stock is growing, and guys like Coteau Grove Farm are breeding very nice Louisiana breds, and certainly a day to recognize them coming up. Let's get into it. Let's look at some of the races on the card. First race is the Lady Day Starters Handicap purse of $50,000, 5.5 furlongs in this race. Mikey D, what did you do with the favorite? And in this race, kind of to kick off the card.
It's almost like a replay of the prep race opening day. You got the top 3 finishes, Zydeco Music, Galaxy 36, and Our Perfect Princess, all finished within a head of each other. All 3 of them at the wire. And I'll look for a similar race once again today. And I might even give the nod again to Galaxy 36 just because he might be a horse for the course. He's got 6 wins in 13 starts at the fairgrounds. So it's a horse that loves the course. And if he gets that fast pace like he did last time, he may be able to run him down again.
Yeah, Galaxy 36 to me, I like horses with a lot of wins on their record. And this one, hard knocking Louisiana bred mare, 8 years old now, 12 wins in her life, second off the layoff coming in. I think she's definitely the one to beat with Ray Lou riding back. Like it's a lot of these that have met up a lot of times in their careers, right? So Zydeco Music also one I think you got to look at. Always seems to be there. Loves this kind of level that she's at right now. Shane Wilson. Talk about Shane Wilson a little bit, man. He started to
him and his son Connor both they're every day working hard, and I tell you what, they're off to a good start, and all their horses have been training really well.
Shane Wilson is Kevin Kilroy's dark horse for leading trainer of the meet.
Well, he's got enough stock, and if they run enough of those cheaper races, because they got a chance, because they don't mind running them either. They'll run back in a week or 2 weeks,
Seven wins before Champions Day certainly jumps out at you for sure. So that's the first race on the card. The second race, the only maiden race on the card. You can take a look at the Louisiana bred maidens. Man, this one here, I tell you what, probably the second kind of big puzzle to me was this race because all the first time starters. What can you tell us about some of these firsters to try to help some of the bettors here? Because Z Resurrection, I think, is a 4-1 morning line favorite, but there's a lot of firsters in here that have been training at the fairgrounds.
I tell you what, Chad, you just said it. This race was completely like a crapshoot because there's a lot of them training well, but not spectacular, and a lot of trainers that know what they're doing in this race. Z Resurrection has that good second under his belt. Cajun Karma, that one didn't run bad. Got beat 5 lengths in the race. That Z Resurrection was only a length behind Z Resurrection, but Sam Davis got 2 first-time starters that both been working pretty solid. Go Sugar, a horse that won easily first time out for Sam, worked with Parker now, and then went head up for the first half in 47-1 and went out in a minute and change. So I'm going to think that, Sam Davis, 2 horses, both have a shot, giving Parker now maybe a slight edge. But there's a couple other ones that, Fauchier's got a first Veterans Day that looks like he's going to run good. And, Thomas Davis, you tell them if they can remember who Thomas Davis is.
So Thomas Davis for Set Hut Stable and Jake DeLome. Thomas Davis played safety on the Carolina Panthers. Safety linebacker. I think one was kind of hybrid. Probably linebacker, more linebacker, but fantastic player. Killed the Saints a bunch of times with sacks and interceptions. And so Jake likes to keep all his horses. He names them after football. He tries to stick to the football kind of thing.
Well, that's Set Hut Stable.
Set Hut Stable. So, they paid $100,000 for this Violence colt. So I think they expect big things out of him coming up. But, in talking to Jake, last year they thought Touch Upon a Star was unbeatable first time out and got left in the gate. And
I agreed with him.
and didn't get it done first time out, but it's turned into a nice horse that we could talk about later. But yeah, you don't know what these firsters. I'll tell you what, look at the breeding of some of these. This is where Louisiana breds are, right? For 2-year-olds, you got Iron Fist, you got Custom for Carlos, you got Half Hours, and we were talking about it before.
Well, look at Jake, Violence,
right? Violence, and you even have you have American Freedom, the Baffert horse that won first time out for Louis. That's the Louis Roussel horse that ran at Gulfstream Park. But what I was getting to is we talked about before the top 5 Louisiana bred sires this year. You have a Louisiana Derby winner. A Kentucky Derby winner on top. Exaggerator, $5.5 million. Then Carpe Diem, another nice horse, imported over here into Louisiana, $5.5 million. I tell you what, Exaggerator and Carpe Diem are so close with less than a month to go to the end of the year that a win by either sire on this Champions Day could go a long way naming who gets the most money this year. What do you think about Exaggerator and Carpe Diem's offsprings as far as lawbreds go?
Oh, that's upgrading to read them. Both of those were really solid 3-year-olds that ran in the Kentucky Derby and were solid race horses, won a lot of graded races.
Star Guitar, just to round out that list, Star Guitar's 3rd, Custom for Carlos is 4th with just over $2 million. And Half Hours, who's no longer with us, is $1.6 million. Pretty much all of those have runners on this card coming up on Saturday. Talking about Violence, you do see some Louisiana breds out of Violence. Violence is 18% overall with first-time starters, 19%, so a tick higher with 2-year-old first-time starters. And that's the one that Thomas Davis has in this race. If you're looking at also, too, there's some new sires on the scene this year, and there's 3 of them, I think, really 4. El Deal, Motom, who we're very familiar with, Iron Fist, and Secret Circle. Those are the four that have really kind of played their way into these baby races, as we call them, for Louisiana breds. And El Deal was a speedball for Jorge Navarro, Grade 1 winner. Not so good on the turf, though. El Deal, just kind of a handicapping thing, has one turf winner in 19 tries. So not really hasn't been very prolific on turf, but his first-time starters have been. His 2-year-olds overall are 24%. So keep an eye out on that. And Iron Fist was a Hollendorfer horse that went to Steve Asmussen as a 4-year-old. His horse is 23% first time out, Iron Fist. That's very, very good. Very good. But here's the thing with Iron Fist. Dirt routes. 32 starts, 1 win, 6 seconds and 3/3. So the Iron Fist seem to be more sprinters than they are 2-turn horses. So just wanted to let kind of people know that from a breeding side. When you look at these first-time starters, maybe something to help you decipher through some of the what's going on here. But Parker, now you got, just to show you how hard this race is, 9-2 entry is second choice. You got Z Resurrection 4-1. So really tough race. Veterans Day, I think, is one you got to maybe look at. Maybe if that price drifts up for Ron Fauché. The Dam won first time out at Presque Isle. The Sire won first time out, and this is the first time out here. Anything in the morning you've seen from Veterans Day that catches your eye?
Actually worked pretty solid a couple of times. His last gate work, he went 48-4 and went all the way out in 101-4. So no, he's okay.
It's a good race. I mean, I think it's a spread race all the way around. So good luck to everybody in the second race on Champions Day. Third race on the card, Louisiana bred Juvenile, the Champions Day Juvenile. This race here. Let's take a look at the morning line favorite. Another really kind of tough race. You go 5-2 on kind of a ship end for Brian Lynch. You don't see Brian Lynch with too many Louisiana breds, but Brian Lynch with Tumba Rumba.
That, it's funny being a Oscar Performance. It was a great turf horse, but he's got 2 dirt races and both solid efforts. 109-4 in an open company race at Churchill Downs last time out. So, I mean, you got to think he's going to be one of the favorites, if not the favorite in the race. But 2 horses that your local, not on Herb, ran a really good race first time out. I mean, the other horse ranged up on the outside of him in mid-stretch, and then he just drew back off and galloped out really strong in that race. So I think Ron Fauché has got him going in the right direction. He's going to be tough to beat. And half full, he might be the wild card. I mean, very impressive, winning by eased up. I watched that replay the other night, and the last 16, Jock was just letting him finish on his own, wasn't even trying. Or he could have won by 10 or 12 easily. So I think one of those 3 would be the most logical, but very competitive field.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If you want to go back with Tom Barumba and watch his workouts are available on video on XBTV. So you can go to xbtv.com and see those 2 works at Palm Meadows. I believe the work on the 26th and the work on the 19th are both on video. So you can see who he's working with and kind of compare notes there. But interesting that Colby Hernandez rode this horse twice at Churchill, and now Brian Lynch employs Florent Giroux here, and Colby jumps to, I believe you said half full, right?
Full, right? Yeah. Well, you don't know if Colby jumped or if Brian Lynch jumped.
right. But yeah, not on Herb. That was one for Ivory Sisters Racing, who campaigned Monty Man around these parts for a long time with Fauché. He's a talented horse who I know that barn's high on. So that's a good race. I mean, I think it's between those 2 for sure, but keep an eye on, late September was favored over Not on Her last time out, and he didn't run a bad race.
No, he didn't run a bad race, but he didn't have any excuse either. He ranged up and looked like he was going to go on by, and then Not on Her just drew back off on him.
So the 4th leg of the early pick 5 on Saturday. The 4th leg is going to be the Louisiana Champions Day Lassie. This is for 2-year-old fillies. The girl version of the juvenile here. And we talked about her before, but Nora G was very impressive first time out here opening weekend. And she has to deal with the likes of Free Drop Maddie in this spot.
Exactly. And they both won, like you said, they both won opening day. Free Drop Maddie, very impressive, winning the stake race, drawing away by 6 3/4 lengths. And she's a seasoned veteran, she's already got 5 starts, hadn't been out the money in all 5 of them. And Brett Calhoun, we'll have going at her best for this race. But Nora G, they came out of the same kind of race, and she ran, just this one tick difference, for the 5.5 furlongs. And she broke bad. She kind of broke out and was last by several lengths. And then she made a bold move around all the horses and drew off impressively. And I always say that horses improve the most from their first start to their second start. So if she improves a couple lengths, I think she's going to be tough to beat. Free Drop Bradley's going to have to run her best to beat her.
Yeah, Nora G, if you look at it already, you've had like 5 horses, I think, come back to run out of that race. A first, a second, and a third. So that race is holding its form as one of the better maiden special weights. Definitely one of the best, Louisiana bred maiden special weights. So there was some. She didn't beat bad horses in her debut. So like you said, she should improve, and I think it's out of those two. A horse I'm kind of interested in there a little bit is the 7 Starship Jambalaya. This is a star guitar for Scott Gellner. Won first time out pretty easily and impressively, and took money at Delta. Came back in that stakes race with Free Drop Maddie, and they bet this horse down to 4-1. I got to go back and really kind of watch the trip. I don't remember her having any excuses. She ran 4th. Maybe she needed to run over the racetrack. 12-1 looks more enticing to me than anything, to tell you the truth. I'm going to have to go back and watch her, but the fact that she's got a win already at Delta, she's making her 3rd start, so she's getting up there, being about star guitar. She interests me at a price a little bit.
And Tensis Candy's another one you can't throw out completely. I mean, she actually finished in front of Free Drop Reedy in the stake race at Delta, going 7/8 of a mile. So, I mean, she's got a shot. But I'm with you. I think Nora G and Free Drop Mandy are the 2 horses.
Let's take a look at the 5th race on the card. This one's going to be a heavyweight. I'll tell you, it's going to be a heavyweight battle. You usually have one of these every year. And it seems to me it kind of comes in this race. It comes in the Champions Day Ladies Sprint.
Well, last year it was Overcharge and Scylla.
Right, and Scylla, right? There was those two. And Overcharge is back this year, going against Free Like a Girl. And everybody, it's a 2-horse race and this and that. And maybe it is, but let's kind of get into it a little bit here. There's a 6-horse field? I think it's a 6-horse field here. Free Like a Girl drew the rail, which I don't. Let's take it like this. Free Like a Girl 7-5. You got Overcharged at 6-5. Free Like a Girl gets the rail. Would you have flipped that if it was the other way around? If Overcharged would have got the rail and Free Like a Girl was on her outside? Because these two look like they're going to start knocking heads about the 3/8 pole and not stop to the wire.
Right. Actually, I do favor the 5 being on the outside so he can, just look on the inside and engage the horse. And then the 1, if you don't break that, because they got some other horses with a lot of speed. So if she don't break sharp, she might get stuck in a pocket back there on the rail. So, but believe me, those are 2 really nice horses. One's won 6 out of 7 starts with a second. The other one's won 9 out of 19 with 5 seconds and 3/3. So both of them know where the winner's circle is.
They do. And Overcharge being a 4-year-old filly taking on Free Like a Girl as a 3-year-old, you kind of maybe give her the edge there. And look, I mean, it's no secret. Jose Camejo has big plans for Overcharge after this race, and
he did tell us, before the race that he didn't think she was more like 60 or 70% ready for that race, but he wanted to get that prep race in her for this race, and so she should improve off of that last race.
She should. And she's going to spot the 3-year-old filly, Free Like a Girl, a few pounds in the weight, but look, Free Like a Girl could be a problem. She could be a problem in this race, and she's talented enough to hang around with Overcharged in the lane for a pretty long time. She lost a heartbreaker last year to Buckley Bunny, who was the biggest price on the board in the juvenile
Steve
last
Flint,
year. Yeah, the $90 horse or something like that. And she came into that race on Champions Day last year. She had won 3 in a row. She she gets beaten to full field by Buckley Bunny, a really big upset. Then the next time, she goes on to win 2 more races in a row. So man, it's hard to beat those horses that really like to win. And I'm telling you, man, look at her running lines. She ran against Secret Oath and the Honeybee.
Oh, no.
I mean, she ran against Society, who was in the Grade 3 Charlestown Oaks. She just, she ran second to her. Society was in the Breeders' Cup. So, a lot of people, I think the money's going to come in on Overcharge. But look, Free Like a Girl, she could be a problem in this race.
She's a good horse.
She's a good horse. Oh, I wanted to tell you in this race, too. Whoop car. Do you know what that means?
No.
Do you know what that means? Wake up, pray, kick ass, repeat.
I like that. I like that. So I figured a Catholic boy like you would know that.
Sure. Whoop car. So I was joking with some of my friends about that one. We bet on the horse last time, but this is a tough spot for her to come in making her 3-year-old stakes debut. She'd be one of the long shots, but this is one for Brett Calhoun that maybe if this isn't her right spot today, I think she could be heard from in the future. Nice filly for Brett there. So that's the 5th race. We go ahead and take a break right here. We'll come back on the other side and we'll talk about the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, which is the late pick 4. That race right there, the 5th race, started the pick 5 with the low takeout. So we'll come back after a break here and talk about the last 4 races on the card right after this. FB winners. Kenny Schmidt, my capper on the coast, has a special Fairgrounds podcast deal. For $150, you'll get both the NFL and college football picks through the Super Bowl. Prime selections only at FB winners on Twitter. Kenny's DMs are open. You've heard Kenny Schmidt on the Fairgrounds Racing Podcast last year before the Louisiana Derby. This guy's special. He gives out winners to everybody. And if you sign up, mention the Fairgrounds Podcast, and Kenny will give you horse racing plays through December. Spot plays at the Fairgrounds through December for $150. You get National Football League, college football, through the Super Bowl, plus horse racing. Nothing better than that. Check them out at FB Winners on Twitter.
If you live in Louisiana, you know the way to a person's heart is through their stomach, and Louisiana Craft Butchers has the map to get there. From their large selection of smoked hams and turkeys to deli meats to boudin, give them a call at 504-466-9788 or check them out online at lacraftbutchers.com. Give your request in early, as all orders are on a first-come, first-served basis. These hams are cured, spiral cut, and injected with Steen's cane syrup before being smoked. Your choice of 8 or 10 pound hams are available. If turkey is your thing, these turkeys are bathed in brine for 6 days before being smoked in pecan wood. 10 or 15 pound turkeys are available while they last. If you want to impress your friends and family this holiday season, you need to let Louisiana Craft Butchers do the talking. Check them out at lacraftbutchers.com.
If you like to bet on football, college, and or NFL, please check out the website, www.meatandpotatoesusa.com. Our consultants are hitting 63% against the spread this season. Don't miss out. Tommy Krysan, Trey Blossman, Anthony Gallo, these guys are the experts. This is what they do. Check them out for pro and college picks. That's www.meatandpotatoesusa.com. Back here in the Fairgrounds Racing Podcast, Chad Shaxsnyder alongside Mike Delaberto. Before we get you caught up to the 6th, 7th, and 8th and 9th races on the Champions Day card Saturday, Mike, let's talk a little bit about what you've seen out in the morning lately. Brad Cox's barn is fully ready to go. Cyberknife is preparing for his run into Pegasus next month. He's going to work a couple times here at Fairgrounds. Have you seen him out on the track?
He's looked terrific. I mean, he looks like a monster.
His younger brother was Tappet Shoes, who ran here last week. He's the half to Cyberknife. That was a really impressive run. This horse and you kind of read between the lines, he acts a lot like Cyberknife too.
He had that green. He was looking. In fact, he looked to the inside, and when the egrets jumped, he flinched out and went out a few strides out in the middle of the track. And that's just a young horse. Anything, startles him, but he sure drew off impressively. I know that.
Yeah, Brad Cox said, if you read the Daily Racing Form, this little article, I believe Marcus wrote it, about all kind of his stable horses and where he's going. Loggins, he'll be back here at Fairgrounds the end of December. I'm not sure where they appoint him for, but I'm sure he's a very talented 2-year-old about to be 3. Instant Coffee had an 82 buyer in the Kentucky Jockey Club off of his win. He's pointing for either the LeCompte or the Southwest over at Oaklawn. And Giant Mischief, who might be probably maybe the most talented right now, is going to Remington for the Springboard Mile. Have you seen any of those horses on the track yet?
No, I haven't seen them yet. No.
Verifying. I know you've seen Verifying.
Yeah.
This one's second in the Grade 1 Champagne. He was 6th in the Breeders' Cup. He worked at Fairgrounds the other day. What's your initial thoughts on Verifying?
Believe me, Brad Cox's, all of his horses have been working really well. I mean, and he likes to work past the wire. They like to go out to the 7/8 pole, and that seems to be a trend. A lot of trainers are starting to do that.
Victory Formation is another one he has. I mean, he's just loaded. This one's probable for the Southwest. He won his maiden at Keeneland and then captured an allowance at Churchill Downs. He's a very impressive horse. And I think on the Philly side, there's a filly named Batacuda who looks like she's going to be pointed for the Silver Bullet Day in January. She broke her maiden at Churchill. Have you seen her?
Yeah. Baracuda looked very impressive. Yeah, she looks like a solid runner.
She's could be pointing. Like I said, for the Silver Bullet Day. And Zozos. Zozos is back. Zozos is back training out. Zozos was the steam horse last year.
I think Zozos is going to turn into a nice 4-year-old. I think he's got a lot of talent.
Zozos is looking for a second level allowance spot for Brad, but Yeah, Zozos was good to us last year here in the pod. Picked him first time out, and he rewarded us very nicely and went on to have a really, really good spring and turned into a nice horse. So let's get back to the Champions Day card here. 6th race on the card. Starts the late pick 4, second leg of the pick 5. And here we got the Champions Day starter handicap. And, I mean, if I had dice, I would just roll the dice. Or if I had a dartboard, I'd throw a dart.
I'll tell you what, I got 6 horses within 2 points. 4 to 1's the favorite and 6 to 1's the sixth choice. It's that close. And they all hard-knocking older horses that have been winning. But I'm going to give the slight nod to the 3, Altarena, just for the simple reason this horse knows where the winner's circle is. He's won 11 of his last 22 starts. That's 50% wins. So I got to think off of his best effort, he's got a good shot in here. Cryptoconic won opening week here. Closed very well and caught Faucher's Mr. Production right at the wire. That's another one that figures to be right there. Dixie Street, he ran 2 solid races at Delta Downs, and he's coming into the race training real well. So, and Golden Palace came out of a solid win on November 24th here, where he closed very well to win going away. Really, this is a race that the pick 4 and the pick 5 people are going to be spreading out in.
You want to know what's crazy? The 7 horse in here. I swear this Reckless Ransom has been around since I've been following horses. I mean,
well, think about it. He's 9 and getting ready to be 10 next month.
Getting ready to be 10 years old. Has raced 79 times, 15 wins, 21 seconds, 12 thirds, and has won $344,000 the hard way.
And he's got 3 wins in 2022, so he's still earning his keep.
He is earning his keep, and he's in the barn of Joey Foster now. He's going to have Mitchell Merle on him. Doesn't have the best numbers at the fairgrounds, but it's just you like to see these old geldings like this just banging around and having fun out there and running hard. And so man, Reckless Ransom is definitely one I'll keep my eye on in that race. But yeah, I do kind of like Mr. Production there. I think the Win-A-Lot stable, I think they have 2 horses in here. I think they have Mr. Production, and I think they have the bottom horse, if I'm not mistaken. The Vista horse, right?
Yes.
They have Secret Vista with Justin Johnson. He could be dangerous too. Secret Vista on the outside. I think he could pick up some pieces in there if they go too fast. I kind of like him from off the pace as a long shot.
Wide open race.
Yep. So looking for that one. That's the 6th race on the card on Saturday. 7th race on the card, the Champions Day Ladies Distaff going a mile and a 16th. These are for older fillies and mares. Once we said just to kind of recap here, it's all dirt races at the fairgrounds for Champions Day. They have made, I believe, the Champions Day turf. They're going to run it on January 7th.
Right.
Okay.
They're all going to run it.
They are going to run it. It's going to be a Champions Day turf on January 7th, which, honestly, you could have horses out of this race come back to running that race.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
So the Champions Day Ladies Distaff is race 7, mile and a 16th, Mike. Good race here. 6 of the 8 out of here come out of the same last race.
Right. Basically, the prep race was a little stake race opening week, and Winning Romance stalked a really fast-paced set by Cheapskate Diva and took the lead, and then just got knotted out in the last strides by A.G. Charlotte, who's Patricia Westerborn is off to a great start, and I got to think those are the 2 main horses once again. And Fort Polk always shows up and gives you an honest effort. She finished 3rd in that race. I think it's between these 3. I give a slight nod to Winning Romance, but I think A.G. Charlotte and even Fort Polk has an outside shot.
Don't give me that. You're going to be all over Fort Polk. Fort Polk. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Fort Polk was the best bet last year for Mike on this pod on Champions Day. Fort Polk rewarded the backers with a nice $8 mutual. Now, that was only a 5-horse field, but this horse, look, likes the fairgrounds. 2 wins, 2 seconds, 3 thirds, 7 out of 8 in the money. Looking at she likes to hit the board. She's right there all the time. I didn't think she had too much excuse in that last race, but she was coming off a little bit of a layoff. I look for her to improve second time off that short layoff.
I think she'll run better being on the outside. She was stuck down on the inside last time and kind of
I think she wants to be
had
outside
to wait
horses.
to make her move to come around. Once she let Winning Colors get away from her, and she had to come around her, wait. So, but off of her best effort, we know she can beat these horses. But Winning Romance and A.G. Charlotte, they just, I think they both look like they're in great form and they're going to be tough.
If I remember right, you basically said Fort Polk last year because it was the work going in. You love the work going in.
Oh, she worked terrific. And she's been working good this year, but not like she was working last year.
Yeah, that's good information. So Fort Polk in there, AG Charlotte, who we're eager to see if she can keep that form for Patricia West. That's your 7th race on the card. 8th race on the card, the mile and the 8th, which is usually the marquee race. It's the Champions Day Classic. They carded it as the 8th race this year, and we'll get into why, because I think they did the right thing by putting the sprint last. But the Champions Day Classic goes in this race, and you can't really talk about the Champions Day Classic without mentioning Star Guitar. Star Guitar.
That was his race.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Star Guitar raced 5 times on Louisiana Champions Day. Never lost.
Oh, no.
Never lost. So just to recap, Star Guitar, who's very very deserving of the bar named after him at the fairgrounds down by the paddock, the Star Guitar Bar. 2007 wins the Champions Day Juvenile. 2008 wins the sprint with Robbie Alvarado. Then goes on a streak. 09, 10, 11, classic, bang, 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 3 in a row. And if Grand Luigi was in this race, he'd be going for 3 in a row.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
He raced opening weekend. He's not in this race. So, Star Guitar what a racehorse, and won this race 3 times in a row. Who's going to win the Louisiana Champions Day Classic this year?
Well, they have a favorite is Who Took the Money. He's been, in great form, and he's dominated some of these same horses. And he's not picking up any weight. He already won with 124. It's funny how the weight weights itself, because he just won by 2.25 lengths over Behemoth Star. He stays the same at 124, and Behemoth Star has to pick up 6 pounds.
Yeah, that's
so
crazy.
That you just like, well, wait a minute,
right?
How's that? So I think Who Took the Money? He got a good pace set up, and I think Highlands Creek will make sure that it's an honest pace. That's Brett's other horse in there, and if for some reason Jake Delhomme decides not to run in this race, I don't think there's a lot of pace. Jake would make it for a legitimate pace with Touch Upon a Star, but he's cross-entered in the sprint in that one. So I guess Jake has to make his decision what race looks best for him.
Yeah,
but
they got Cosmic Train too.
I think Highland Creek, has a shot, but Behemoth Star ran a really solid race coming off of a layoff, and he ran a solid second behind Who Took the Money. And he actually defeated Who Took the Money last year in the Star Guitar Stakes. So no surprise if he would pop up and win, but it's still, I think, Who Took the Money's race.
I bet Behemoth Star last time out. One thing to note is the race that all these horses come out of, the track was sloppy that day. We're probably going to have a fast track on Saturday. Does that play into anybody? Do you think one may have been better on a sloppy track as opposed to a fast track? Did it lift anybody up? Do you throw races out? Because to me, I want to throw out Cosmic Train's race being on the slop. So a Cosmic Train goes off anywhere around that 16, 17, 18 to 1. I'm going to be using him in the gimmicks. I don't know if he's probably not fast enough to win or beat Who Took the Money, but he could definitely hit the board at a big price. And that's kind of where people say, you can't make money in short fields. Look, 5 and 6 horse fields, 7 horse fields, you find a good favorite and get those bombs underneath, those trifectas, you can pound them. You can make $10, $20 trifectas and cash a good bet.
I think that
who's like, if Who Took the Money, obviously it'd be 3 to 5, 4 to 5. What's kind of a price horse that you think can hit the board? I think I'm going to probably try to get Cosmic Train in there.
Well, for the simple reason that there's only one horse in this race that's ever run a mile and an eighth. Mm-hmm. And that's Highland Creek, and he was a solid second that time in a mile and an eighth race behind the horse you talked about, Grand Luigi. So, I know he can get the distance, and if they allow him to slow the pace down, he could be a dangerous horse at a price. But I'm with you. I think if Who Took the Money runs back to any of his last 2 or 3 starts, he's going to be very hard to beat in here. But if Jake runs Touch Upon a Star, he's stepping up in class here. But, he's a talented horse, and he's got a lot of chance to keep moving forward. He's just a horse that keeps developing.
Well, Highland Creek is also owned by Allied Racing Stable, which is the same as Who Took the Money. He's become kind of the Who Took the Money's whipping boy. Brett keeps putting them in the gate together, and you got to think Highland Creek by now looks over in the gate and goes, "Seriously, I got to race against Who Took the Money again."
3 times in a row, he got beat by him.
Yeah. So if he does turn the tables on him, I think it would be an upset, just because Who Took the Money's kind of had his number. Whether it be a fast track, sloppy track, cement track, doesn't matter. Who Took the Money? The race. If you're in the verticals, I think if you're trying to do a budget ticket, it's definitely gonna be your single. There's no doubt about it. Who Took the Money is probably your single,
and that's probably why they made this race the last race on the card.
And the 9th race on the card, the Champions Day Sprint. If you're singling in the Champions Day Sprint, God bless you. God bless you.
You're better handicapper than me.
Yeah. So The Champions Day Sprint's the last race on the card. Man, what a great race for 100,000. Everybody showed up in here, Mike, and it really reflects in your morning line. There's a lot of ways to go in here, man. I love this kind of race.
Something you very rarely see is 14 horses in the body of the race. So it will be a 14-horse field in here.
It will. Take us through, because, man, we got 3-year-olds, we got older horses in here, we got stakes debuts. You got everything going on in this race.
Birdie's Galaxy, was the solid 4-5 favorite against a lot of these same horses last time out. Kind of got pinched at the start and bumped around a little bit and never did get to show his speed at all. Talking to Ron Fauché, he told me to throw that race out, that he thinks he'll come back and run one of his better races today. That's the thing. If he breaks sharp, being on the outside, he's got enough speed to get in a good stalking position and be right there. I got to give him a slight nod, but Touch Upon a Star, Jake's horse, if he runs, he's going to be right on the outside shoulder of Birdie's Galaxy, and he's another one that should be able to get a good stalking position and hopefully be able to get over. And the horse that beat him, a lot of these last time out. Brian's Iron Mike. Now he got a really good trip coming up the inside, and now he's got the 11 hole. So he's going to have to work out a trip. But, off of that last race, I can't say he doesn't have a shot either. I mean, he's another one that, you got to think has a decent chance. Restless Dance, another one on the outside that he's run a couple of good races over his career. He was a horse they were high on when he was a younger horse. And got to give, but I just think Birdie's Galaxy, Brian's Iron Mike and Touch Upon a Star, I think those 3 horses, they look pretty solid to me.
To me, Brian's Iron Mike, last time was the time. I think, I know it's third start off the layoff, but I want to say the slop probably moved that horse up a little bit. And the fact that race really fell apart, it kind of fell into his hands. I know it was a big field that day, 10 horses. He did get a perfect trip up the rail by Joe Stokes. And, I just think last time, he's probably a B for me in this race. I'm going to use him, but he's not going to be a top pick. Looking at it, I mean, it's just I can't believe how bad Unified Report ran last time. It just boggles my mind. And I'm glad that Dallas is running him right back because he's a better horse than what he has showed this year. I mean, he's 1 for 9 this year. This could be his third start off the layoff too. And I know there's not a lot of Louisiana bred races anywhere. Dallas brings him to Churchill and Oaklawn and all that kind of stuff. But there's got to be one good race Unified Report can run in here. That 12-1, that's a big price for him facing Louisiana breds. I just think he can't run any worse. And he's switching back to Brian Hernandez for this race. And he's one, if they get go at 12-15-1. If Dallas has him right, he's going to be right there.
And his 2 wins at the fairgrounds were with Brian Hernandez aboard.
That's right.
Brian's a money rider. He likes to ride in them big races.
Did he come back to work after that race? I mean, how did he work coming out of that race? Because that race was almost too bad to believe.
He had a solid work. He worked solid at 48 and change, and wasn't being asked to do it. So I think Dallas has got him, ready to run a big race now. Whether he's good as he was as a 3-year-old, as early in his 3-year-old career, we don't know.
Another horse that interests me is Takes 2 to Tango, and stick with me here for a minute. I know the horse has never won at the fairgrounds, but Diego Sanz rode this horse back a couple of years ago, ran into as a 3-year-old here in the sprint at 70-1 and almost pulled it off. It was a shocker. Okay. Just gets beat. I can't remember who beat him, but it was 70-1. I remember that. And Diego Sanz running, and really haven't seen. That was like a high 90s buyer that day too. I want to say it was like a 98, something ridiculous. That race last time here off the layoff is sneaky good. Going back and watching that race, it almost looked like he was going to be loose again, and he took a ton of pressure. He was the last of the speeds to really fold. He chased. I thought he held well, being 10-1. He's a horse that interests me a little bit too. I know there's a lot of speed in here, but he likes to break. He likes to go. Ray Lou, I think, is an upgrade. He does have to carry a little bit more weight, but Takes 2 to Tango will be on my tickets.
Oh, well, no. 3 races back, he ran third behind Birdie's Galaxy, and then he came back and he beat Brian's Iron Mike when he won by 3.5 at Louisiana Downs. So, no, he's another one that you can't throw out. This is a really, really competitive race.
Yeah, and I think he's better on a fast track. That was a sloppy track last time. I don't think that fit him, but I think he got a lot out of that last race. So, Takes 2 to Tango is definitely going to be on my ticket for me. It's just a really, really good race, that last race, the sprint here at the fairgrounds. So that'll take us to the end of the card. Let's kind of recap here with our best bets and our long shots now. Pull out the bugler because I don't know if you got another one in you, but let's recap what you did Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving week. Break out the pats on the back. Sam David, you were a big Sam David fan. And matter of fact, you were such a big Sam David fan, I had to have Sam David on the pod last week. So Sam was on the pod last week. If you didn't hear that, go back and check it out. Really fun interview with Sam David. But you went with hard 4 as one of your long shot picks, maiden special weight first time starter. Boom, cracks and wins. Your best bet, running late, Chris Richard. Boom, cracks and wins. Dustum for me, Sarah Delaney, my long shot, pays 17.40, which was good. My best bet didn't come in.
But your double was pretty good.
The double was very good. We happened to crush that double pretty good. Then I said, Mike, what do you like on Friday? Mike only likes Go Sugar, Sam David, 7.40. Sweet Vidalia somehow paid 6.20 in the last race. First timer that we were like, you wasn't sure why the horse run maiden special, but it should have been run maiden special, ran for 10, paid 6.20. And then at the end of the show, you said, man, Proxy's been training really good here. The best I've ever seen him train. Proxy just happens to win the Clark handicap that Friday after Thanksgiving. So the bankroll's good. The bankroll's good as we head into the weekend. What have you got for us as far as best bets go this weekend?
Well, it's impossible to top that, so I'm not even going to try. But let's see. On Thanksgiving Day, I'm going to make she's a fan favorite of mine, Overcharge. I just really like this mare, and she always shows up. So I'm going to give her my best bet. And for an upset, I'm going to stick with my hot trainer, Sam David.
Okay.
He's got an entry, Parking Now and Slick and Fast in the second race. Both of them training pretty well. Parking Now worked pretty solid work out the gate with Go Sugar, who won first time out. So I got to think, if she runs in there, I think Parking Now's got a good shot as my upset special. That is a very, very tough race, though. And actually on Friday in the Mississippi race, I think Fauché with Foolish Steve, he looks pretty solid to me in that race.
Okay, so you get one for Friday. That's good. My best bet, I went back and forth. Obviously, I think who took the money is going to be a single. I'm going to go in the fourth race. I like Nora G. I think you're going to get all of 3-1. I think Brett Calhoun and Free Drop, Maddie is going to, be in those connections with Ray Lou, and you got 8-5. I think she's going to take maybe a little more money than that. But I think there's a little something there with Nora G. Second time, going a little bit furlong, a half a furlong further. I'm going to go with Nora G as my best bet. I'll tell you what, I'm just... I want to pick Unified Report as a long shot, but I really can't do it in that race. I think for my long shot, let's take it to race 6. That's the Louisiana Champions starter handicap. I'm looking at the bottom horse. We're going with Secret Vista, Justin Johnson, 12-1 morning line. I think this horse is going to sit right off the pace. Off the layoff here, I think you get every bit of 12-1. And if Justin get him ready first off a layoff to fire, I think that price may even go up. So give me Justin Johnson, Secret Vista as my long shot play of the day on Saturday. So looking at it, Mikey D, that'll do it for us here. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Be sure to check out podcast networks for more on the Fairgrounds content. Visit fgno.com and give us a follow on Twitter at Shex Nola, SCHEX Nola. And for everything Fairgrounds related, follow at Fairgrounds Nola. Hope to see everybody at the track on Saturday for Louisiana Champions Day. Best of luck this weekend, everybody, and see y'all next week.